Ho, 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 ho. All right, all right, all right, all right. My camera. It's actually 183. 183rd stream of season 4, which started, I think, August last year. So I guess season 4 needs to end in August. I guess. A year, I'd say, is a season, but it's a bit weird to stop a season in August, isn't it? Like end of the year is probably better. Well, that's going to be longer than a year then. I mean, season 3 was a bit shorter, I think, than a full year. Hey, Bruno Romanos, how's it going? What's up, man? Oh, I'm tired. Even though I'm really well rested. Kinda. Oh, no, I'm not really well rested. But that is what it is, right? You're all good, that's great. So tomorrow will be round 4 announcements. Hey, Krill. And round 5, the bloodbath of round 5 for all the comeback bracket. It's gonna be very interesting. So how about I will today I will just draw something. I won't ask for a topic. But yeah, so I'll be drawing. I think something fantasy. For some reason, I want to paint metal, so we'll see. We'll see what that end up doing. I'm gonna do the hard brush overlay sketching technique. I think it was fun. Yesterday was interesting as well to use the study to inform warm up. Hey Zilin. But today I feel as I said, I'm a bit tired, so my brain is a bit mushy. So I think I'll just draw something random from my imagination. Something with metal, I think. Yeah, I started to write a bit on my lecture. I think I will lecture about art direction at IFCC. It seems to be what people are interested in hearing, so well, I'll do that. Dealer's choice. Yeah, exactly. It's my choice. Well, let's start. Might as well start, right? Hey there, Bart. How's it going? How are you? How are you, sir? Hey, Frenchy. What up? What up? So I woke up to reading the Discord. It was very interesting to see the feedback that was written. Yesterday there was a small little bit of discussion regarding one person on Discord and stepping over the line, etc. Well, small. Doesn't really matter. But what was interesting to see was people kept the spirits up and kept the spirit of the Discord as well, giving feedback, which I think is great. I think it's important to. Hey Omot, how's it going? I think it's important in general to give feedback, and I think it's more than one reason why it's important to give feedback. Like one thing that what happened yesterday with a person who wrote feedback was I think both the person that reacted a little bit overreacted to the feedback, and also the person giving the feedback. I think both people learned something. I think it's important, like when you do when you do decide to give feedback, it's the same thing. It's the same amount of not effort in as a whole, but it has to have effort in communicating, like communicating the feedback, right? If you don't get, if you don't become understood of what you're trying to tell the artist in your feedback of what your reaction was to their art, or what you deemed, what you think you can help the other artist with, even if it's your point of view, or even if it's a technical mistake you deem that they are doing, it's always good to hey Morphia, how's it going? It's always good to add, you have to explain yourself of where you're coming from, or the purpose of it, or the thing you're trying to communicate in form of a feedback. For example, a good way. Hey, Weeping Jay, how's it going? A good way to start is, here's something I thought, or that I think you're making this mistake because of this, or I would not do it the same way. I would probably see it this way, and so on. To communicate clearly, instead of assuming, right? I think that's the biggest thing, is assuming something. But you both, the artist, also making artistic decisions or artistic mistakes, technical mistakes. That artist itself also assumes to some degree about what they're doing right or wrong, and maybe that's not communicated clearly. So it's like when you're writing some feedback, it's always good to explain yourself well. Bruno Romanos, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, English isn't my primary language either, and I try to. Sometimes I fail at explaining, but then I try to explain. I take a little bit longer time to construct the sentence, or explain additionally if there's any confusion. It doesn't hurt to make yourself understood. Omot, underneath the stream, there's a Discord button. Just click it. I just opened the stream and I see the Death Stranding soldiers. Oh, well, no, it's the German Nazi helmet, right? But it's not Death Stranding at all. Wait, hello, thank you very much, Almeida. Cesar de Almeida. How's it going? Welcome. Omot, no problem. It's free for all. But there is a perk at that Discord, though. Is if you're a subscriber here, you just let me know on Discord, and if you want, you have your own sketchbook section as a subscriber, and in there I always try to give you a little bit of extra feedback, just to help you, help me, all those kind of things, But otherwise, other than that, also when you're a subscriber, there's this hero card section, which no one is doing anymore, but it is a perk where you do like card illustration, a fake card illustration, and I will help you push it. But people seem to have forgotten about it. But that's a subscriber perk. Anyways, most times it going. Captain Bose, what's up? Zillion, yeah, I think a lot of people might go back to Hero Card after Unreal Bjorn 2. Yeah, so back to feedback. I think it's great. I'm very happy to see that everyone on Discord are still giving feedback and thoughts, and it's nothing. I mean, feedback can be anything from I like it or I don't like it because I like it because, and there's a lot of people who shy away from saying their opinion, or confusing their opinion with law. But an opinion is just an opinion, right? I've always had the kind of point of view of feedback being someone who tells you what they think about your art in a more specific way. But it's still just a person telling you. And what I like about giving feedback and getting feedback is the fact that you might not see something that they see, and you should always what's it called? Kind of like how to explain it? Consider feedback, right? So if someone tells you your choice of colors is a bit wrong, you should try to put yourself in that person's position and understand, or try to figure out, why are they saying that? Is it a valid comment? And if it's a valid comment, is it something that you feel is okay to change or not? But you should always, as I see it, you should always consider someone's feedback, because if it's one person, then that's just one off. But if it's 10 people, you know. Hey, Brandon. What up, Brandon? Yeah, like, I think it's important to not dismiss feedback just because you deem that person to be less talented, or you deem that person doesn't, whatever. If you don't consider the feedback, you are absolutely ignoring the fact that you might be wrong, or that there might be a lesson there to be learned. And secondly, like, giving feedback as well. Giving feedback as well shouldn't just be, that's wrong, get better. You have to be able to say why you think it's wrong, and you have to be able to show, if asked for, show the opposite, or if you have time, show the correction, or through that way, what happens is that you have to consolidate your thoughts into a point of feedback, right? You have to be able to, if you say like, oh, the anatomy is wrong in the leg, and that's it, you don't either tell them specifically there to there, or show them, like, oh, the knee is rotated the wrong direction based on the hip or whatever. For you to be able to do that, you need to be able to focus in on what you want to communicate, and communicate it in a clear way to the person that you are giving feedback to, which is twofold, right? You teach yourself to be specific. You teach yourself to define something in the sense of this anatomy is how I see it wrong, right? You don't need to necessarily be the, you know, the best anatomy person in the world, but regardless, if you're helping, you're trying to help someone else, where you assume you know well enough to communicate something. And it was, for example, an interesting thing in what happened on the Discord overnight as I was sleeping, was there was two artists giving feedback to a third artist, and the feedback was different, which in itself is an interesting thing, you know, and it proves the idea of feedback, that feedback isn't a singular truth. You know, like, you have done wrong, do this change to the feedback or you're doomed forever. You know, it's based on always, what you always consider, it's based on someone's opinion, or, you know, it's always biased. It's never like pure. It's never a clean, unbiased, you know, back of the book correct answer. So whenever someone always gives feedback, takes the time to write feedback, there's always this kind of artistic filtering occurring, right? Because no one is able to photographically make everything perfect or realistically perfect. It's always through the lens of a human. And I think that's great. And I think I love the fact that there were two different artists giving the third artist similar feedback, but different, with different outcomes of the feedback. It was quite fascinating to see, and see how that discussion played out, and that's the kind of things I love about the golden days of forums. That there was a bunch of people with different skill sets and different knowledge. I wouldn't say argumenting, but being an adult about it and discussing something, you know, this or that way. But there isn't like the one true way, or a person thinking it's my way or the highway. Eric Ricky, yeah, Bjorn results tomorrow. Good morning, Dr. Sheldon, Eric Ricky. What up? Yeah, so I think it's great. I'm happy to see a lot of feedback on the forums. And that's great, Miss Monster, that you're happy. I think also it's very good. Good that we are talking to each other, helping each other constructively, rather than just shitting on each other. And also, it was proof that the somewhat new artist on the Discord was surprised by the amount of feedback and comments occurring, which was great, you know, which I've always wanted to try to replicate that community of kind of what's it called? Guns are free? No, what is that saying? When soldiers go in an area and they put the secure trigger thing off so that the triggers are free. Is that what they're saying? Triggers are free when they're free, shoot at will. you know. Fire at will. Trigger. No, there's something with triggers. Fire at will is shoot as you want, but there is something. There's a specific one. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. Society. There wasn't one type of person, I wouldn't say, because there was loads of different sections on those forums and loads of different mentalities, and all were accepted, even though like there was a difference in personality and difference in knowledge. The difference of knowledge didn't matter in that sense because they could prove um, they had always validity to what they were saying, even though they had different points of view, which was very fascinating. And in a way, it kind of factioned into different schools of thinking, but they were all like within the same banner. Casey mode. Trigger discipline? No. Trigger happy? No. Safety off? Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Maybe I'm just being stupid. It's something like triggers are free or whatever. Doesn't matter. The point being that anyone should feel free to give feedback to an artist on the Discord. That regardless of skill set, um, knowledge, so on, feedback is always, I think, welcome. And I think what happens is that there's a natural. Hey, Super Groovy, welcome back, man. I think what happens is there's a natural. It will be a natural kind of picking order where new artists or beginner artists would rather read than type out their own feedback. And I think naturally that happens because it's the fact that you are not secure in your own knowledge, not secure enough in your own knowledge to write to someone else and tell them that they're doing it wrong. So when you get to a point where you can start formulating like feedback based on the knowledge you have, you are already at the point where you're starting to grasp the idea. And the fact that you're trying to help someone with the fact that with the knowledge that you have, and you try to like I said, like focus that knowledge into a point of communication to another person, you are teaching yourself at the same time as you're attempting to help someone else. And I think that in itself is a really helpful practice to do. And the more you practice helping someone, in the sense of you are doing it in a constructive way and not shitting on someone, that practice alone will make you better artist and a better person, because you naturally, or should naturally, respect the other person. Like don't put anyone down, even though they have a different point of view. Like I said, you should consider what they're saying, and then then judge for yourself, yes or no, if it's valid, or should I actually change the leg? Maybe the leg is wrong, you know. And then you read what the other person is writing and go, okay, I can see the point. I can see where I made a mistake, or no, actually, you are wrong. And here is the reason why I think you are wrong, and you try to prove that sense. And then you're gonna maybe teach the person that gives you feedback, or you will reach a consensus. And all that, the whole communication is, I think that was great. Ricky, yeah, exactly. It's is always good with feedback. I mean, unless it's like shit post. Zyren. Well, yeah, well, nothing stops you from commenting that at the beginning of your feedback, saying, "Oh, I'm not the most experienced artist, but this is my point of view, where I think what could be improved." And I think not anyone in their right mind, and anyone in their right mind, would go, "Oh, okay," and you read the comment. Maybe it's a higher chance that it will be dismissed, but you yourself said, "Oh, I'm not the best or with the most knowledge about it," but that's fine. They can still read it and go, "Oh, okay, I can see that point of view." I think that's how it should be, especially when it's a server among artists, right? It's a artist-filled server, and with different skill sets, mind you. But it would be different if we share the server with moms who likes to knit and an artist that wants to be in the industry, right? Maybe their comments we could have a little bit of a like a throwaway attitude to, at least more. But the fact that we are all artists, that itself, we're already good at art. If we compare to other people, then there's people who are better at art within this circle for sure. And then there's the gods walking among us. Kirill, well, there we go. There you go. I mean, if that artist that helped you didn't have the time or were scared of giving you that feedback, who knows? Who knows when and if you would have learned the thing that you learned. Miss Monster, yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Eric Ricky, yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely agree to that too. I mean, obviously, you need to take into consideration that not every person that's going to look at your art is an artist. But I was talking specifically about constructive feedback. But also, constructive feedback can be, "Oh, I don't understand your painting," from grandma number 3. That's also constructive feedback in the sense that she doesn't get it. But then again, maybe she doesn't need to get it. Or why doesn't she get it? What could you tweak if grandma number 4 and 5 also says, "I don't get it"? What a beautiful combination of words, Siren. Analysis paralysis. That just rolls off the tongue. But absolutely, and that's one of the other things I kind of comment. I always mention about when people ask me about, well, like, what book should I learn anatomy from, or what's the good one source to be good at anatomy from. Like, first of all, everyone thinks differently. Right? Not everyone has the same way of thinking, so everyone can't learn from the same source material, and that's why there's many different art books about a simple fact like the human body, and all of them approach it differently. So who's right? Who's wrong? There's no right and wrong. It's just like on a spectrum. Where do you sit on the spectrum? Which book should you go for in terms of where you are on the spectrum? Hogarth, Loomis, Vilpo, there's many different directions, and they're all on the same spectrum of anatomy, but their interpretation of it, their filter of it, is different. Ricky, yeah, exactly. Zyron, so in that sense, you know, it's the same with feedback. And what I remembered happened on the golden days of forums was that you started listening a bit more to certain people who came back and gave you feedback over and over. There was always other artists that came back over and over and gave feedback, but you didn't necessarily agree to a lot of their feedback due to the fact that they were at another part of the spectrum of stylistic spectrum or directional spectrum, so that you knew to some degree what they're saying is probably right. You know, in the terms of you're not communicating the anatomy correctly, but their paint over would not be the decisions you are making stylistically or technically, you know. So there was always this kind of like who's right, who's wrong type thing, and ego obviously comes into play a lot of times when that happens. But it's important to remember to take a step back, you know, and don't take it personally, and just read the feedback for what it is, and consider what's being said. That's the biggest, I think, takeaway from any feedback that's constructively written, is always consider it, and then either you agree or disagree with it, but the fact that you're considering the feedback teaches you something more than just dismissing it straight off the bat, you know. Zielin, yeah, absolutely. It's a skill that you have to learn. I think it's a vital part. Of course, you can solo it and be that artist, but usually what that happens is that you'll have a completely different trajectory. Whether that's good or bad, that you can easily argue, but it's important. It's important. I would say it's an important skill set to have. But also, I'm not saying you should just do nothing but give feedback to people. I'm not saying that either. But if, you know, it's good to do. It's good to have that skill set. If you see something, like I did that, I mentioned that yesterday, like that terrorist slogan in London subways. If you see something, say something. I use that for feedback. So if you see something that you could help someone with, say something, you know, in a constructive manner. Miss Monster, yeah, absolutely. Dearbard, yeah, that's one of the better things with feedback. Zyren, you go ahead and do that. You can also give feedback to yourself, absolutely. This turned out dog shit. But you can definitely, most definitely, give yourself feedback if you're able to. And sometimes flipping the canvas is just that. You give yourself instant instant feedback, and you go, "Ugh, why did I flip the canvas?" All right, let's pick someone to raid. To raid. It feels like we're raiding the same people over and over. Oh. Should we go? Should we deep dive? That's pretty cool, I have to say. That looks interesting. Pretty good going so far today, Art. I don't see lots of tits and ass. Oh, there's always some, but you can't escape some tits and ass on Art. What is he doing? Oh, here's bread, juice. Come on, ad. Go away. Making. No. Alright, let's raid someone. Just gonna pick someone from the list. Okay, we're gonna raid someone we haven't raided in a while. Monsters. So as per usual, we're gonna switch to the outro, and after the outro, I'm gonna take you to the raid. So don't go anywhere. Have a great day. Good night if you're that part of the world. Treat each other with respect and love on the Discord. We can have different opinions, absolutely. We can argue, absolutely. Just do it in a way where both can walk away from, and come back. Anyways, let's do the outro. Have a great day. See you guys tomorrow morning for the next stream. You guys are the best. Oh man, I'm so happy. Bye.